Right, I'm hoping this is going to work. First time with a new camera. Leg lock. Most of you would have heard of the concept of a pin lock that have got 5 stacks of 1 pin, each of which you have to pick at a time. Leg lock's very similar. As the stump draws back, it will touch any one of the 5 levers at a time, so it's only one that you're actually moving out the way. A lot of the time you won't even feel really that it's moving, but literally just keep playing with it and lifting them out the way, and the stump will gradually go back. I tend to start at the front and just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Nothing seemed to move. You can ramp the actual tension up a little bit, but not too much, because you're going to have to let it off later on anyway. But you can, if it's playing up a lot, just add that little bit of a tweak more, just to give yourself until you get a bit of feeling. But just literally 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and just keep going like that. And the good thing is, it doesn't even matter if you start lifting them wild either, because you can still get away with it. But it's just feeling for that one that's going to give you a bit of feeling, bit of a binding, rubbing feeling. Just a little bit of feedback to say you're doing something. And in this case, it's just been number 5. You can just feel that little bit of a grating. Just lets you know you're doing something. And just keep going right the way through. And now number 3 and 5 have just given me a bit of feedback. If you're good enough, obviously go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then work your way back down 4, 3, 2, 1. Saves time. I just generally tend to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I know where I am within the lock then, and there's no messing, no misreading of the levers and what I'm doing. And to be honest, I don't find the other way saves me much time. So you can be going at this sometimes for absolute ages and it doesn't seem like you're doing anything at all, and it gets frustrating, because as we know, most other locks you can feel something going on. Even if you go into a false set, at least you know you're doing something, whereas this one doesn't necessarily. And also, don't worry if it sounds like you're dropping levers. It makes no difference, because as long as you've got that tension on, then that stump is coming backwards, and the more it comes back, the more control you got over picking it. Now number 4 is joined in as well. Five's given a little bit more. Most of the time when they start moving like this, you can feel some sort of tiny little rubbing sensation, something to give you an idea that things are moving. And then it comes sometimes as a big shock when it jumps back into a full set, because you don't expect so much movement. Nice movement on 3. Mainly 3, 4 and 5 at the moment. It doesn't matter what's moving as long as something is. Beautiful. Jump back then. Now, because it's jumped back a fair bit, you know you can let off the tension reasonably well back to what you would normally expect for a lock. Number 1 is very tight. 2's got a bit of movement. 3's okay. 4's okay. 5's okay. So we know that number 1's the next needing to be set. And that just jumped a lot. Now number 1 is definitely in a false gate. It's solid. 2's got movement. 3's solid. 4's okay and 5's okay. When you get to that point, you have more than one lever that feels solid, and often you do. What I try and feel for is how much counter rotation you have. As you start trying to lift the lever, how much it's trying to throw you back. You can usually tell that one is giving you a little bit more than the other, so that's the one I always go for first. 1 not much. 3 absolutely rock solid, so I'll go for that one first. Right, that's just clicked out of it. I go back to number 1, which is also still tight. And there we go. Like I say, sometimes you'll do that several times, whereby you'll have tight levers, but literally just run through, and every time you click one in place, what I do, I mean you can do what you like, but what I do is I go back to number 1 and just try lifting everyone just a tiny little bit, because it could be you only need ½ millimeter on one lever. But if you always start in the same place, number 1 through to number 5, you know where you are. Cheers.